The Cardiac Bears have earned their nickname again. They trailed the Packers by 18 at half, by 15 entering the fourth quarter, and still by 11 with under 6 minutes left in the game. But somehow they rallied to their 7th fourth quarter comeback this season. So this week I set out to figure out how Chicago pulled off another one. And the tape says that Ben Johnson, the genius calling plays for the Bears offense, is the strongest force driving these comeback wins. If there's one principle that guides Johnson's development of his call sheet, it's an effort to call plays from formations that contradict the personnel package. When the offense declares personnel, the defense gets a chance to match that personnel. So if an offense goes heavy, the defense has the opportunity to do the same. But offensive play callers can still get creative with their formations. Just because a player is listed as a tight end or a back, they don't have to line up at tight end or in the backfield. When Ben Johnson calls a play from, say, 12 personnel, meaning one running back and 2 tight ends on the field, he might put the back or one of those tight ends out wide. He does it because the ostensibly out-of-position player can give the offense a coverage indicator, or get somebody else a favorable matchup. And it just generally tests the communication capabilities of a defense. None of this is revolutionary or unique to Johnson's call sheet. Almost every coach does this to an extent. But nobody pushes the boundaries of alignment versatility more than Ben Johnson. And this play from Saturday night's game is an awesome example of how this strategy fuels his offense. The Bears are attempting a 2-point conversion, and they deploy a goal line personnel package. There's an extra offensive lineman, 3 tight ends, a running back, and no receivers. So the Packers respond with a goal line package of their own. They send out 6 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and 1 safety. When Chicago breaks the huddle, they put the 6th offensive lineman and 1 tight end on the field side of the formation. That makes the field side the strong side. So that's where Xavier McKinney, the only defensive back on the field, lines up pre-snap. Johnson intentionally put Colston Loveland on the weak side, so that when Chicago spreads everybody out, a linebacker is forced to line up opposite Loveland, isolated out wide. This is the mismatch of the century. Loveland is arguably the best receiving threat on the Bears roster, and the man lined up opposite him is Nick Niemann, who had not registered a defensive snap all season. By putting goal line personnel on the field, Johnson forced Green Bay to go to the bottom of their depth chart at linebacker, and by shifting into this spread formation after originally deploying I form, he prevented the Packers from having any time to adjust before the ball was snapped. Loveland ran a fake fade outbreaker, which generated more than enough separation for Caleb Williams to hit him in the corner of the end zone. This strategy can only really work when the game script is neutral, meaning run and pass calls are of relatively equal likelihood. When teams are down by a lot, coaches tend to abandon the game plan in an effort to speed up the offense. But when the Bears are down, Ben Johnson leans into his game plan. Even when their win probability is in single digits or the situation heavily favors a pass, Johnson is not afraid to stick to the script that keeps defenses off balance. Take a look at this play from early in Saturday night's game. It's first down, and the Bears get into an I formation from 11 personnel, with Luther Burden, a wide receiver, lined up at fullback. This is a light personnel package because there are 3 receivers on the field, but a run formation because the quarterback is under center, the wide receivers are in reduced splits, and there are 2 players in the backfield. You can see the confusion that the alignment causes among Green Bay's defensive backs. Pre-snap, Javon Bullard and Xavier McKinney have to decide who's responsible for the B-gap and who's responsible for Burden. They get their assignments sorted out, but Burden's post-snap motion to the flat causes the linebackers to run into each other, and McKinney never sees the crack block coming. The blocking scheme gives the back free access to the secondary, and DeAndre Swift picks up 8 yards. Later on, with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, the Bears were down 12, facing 3rd and 4 from the Green Bay 6-yard line. Because the Bears are down 2 scores and facing 3rd and medium, the situation strongly favors a pass. But Johnson called the same play as the one I just showed you. It's split zone with the receiver lined up at fullback getting to the flat as a decoy post-snap. The offensive line does an awesome job of giving DeAndre Swift a lane, and Xavier McKinney is late to process the design. So Swift isn't even touched until he reaches first down yardage. Swift gets in and cuts Green Bay's lead to 6. This commitment to a neutral game script showed up on Chicago's game-winning touchdown too. The key to this formation is the alignment of the offensive linemen. From the end zone angle, you can see that the right tackle, Darnell Wright, is lined up at tight end, and the tight end, Cole Kmet, is lined up at right tackle. That suggests that Wright is going to get out wide post-snap to block for one of these receivers on a screen pass. Look at how hard the Packers defensive backs bite on this screen action post-snap. All three of them get downhill to meet Luther Burden at the catch point, which allows DJ Moore to get wide open deep down the sideline. They bit so hard, not only because Wright was lined up out of position, but also because Chicago ran a screen from a similar formation in the first quarter. The intent behind almost every play Ben Johnson calls extends beyond the objective of the play itself. NFL defenders are smart. They remember formational details and play calling tendencies. They watch plays from the previous drive on the sideline when their offense is on the field in order to prepare for what might come next. And Johnson is so good at using their preparation effort against them. When these two teams played in Week 16, Johnson called 6 plays from 13 personnel where the quarterback was under center. The first 5 of those plays were zone scheme runs. The 6th was a play that you've probably seen many times by now, the last play of the game. Look at how hard the safeties bite on the run action here. Neither one can get nearly enough depth to challenge the path of DJ Moore's post route over the top. The coverage was tight, but as Dan Marino would say, there's no defense for a perfect pass. And this ball from Caleb Williams could not have been more perfect. Williams evidently saves his best ball for late in close games. As the leverage level increases, the quality of Caleb's play seems to increase too. It's hard to articulate how valuable that is. This 4th down and 8 was one of the very few times in Saturday's game where Ben Johnson had to abandon the game script. They needed a conversion to stay alive, so he had no choice but to call a shot downfield. The concept is intended to create traffic on the bunch side of the formation. DJ Moore releases vertically and Rome Odunze releases inside behind him, which should create a pick on the wide corner responsible for Odunze on his inbreaker over the middle. The main drawback of downfield picks like this is they take a long time to develop. So in order to give Caleb some extra time in the pocket, Johnson calls for chips on both edge rushers. But Green Bay had the perfect rush design. They called a stunt up the middle between Carl Brooks and Isaiah McDuffie, which told McDuffie to loop around Brooks between the right guard and the right tackle. The rush pattern got McDuffie in free, and contact from Javon Bullard on DJ Moore at the line of scrimmage disrupted the timing of the concept. No pick was set, so Odunze was tightly covered, and Williams had pressure in his face before anybody could get open within structure. Loveland was free in the flat, but the progression doesn't tell Williams to get his eyes there until after he's read the downfield concept. So Loveland was never going to get this ball. Caleb had no choice but to extend, and he made one of the best throws you'll ever see. Last year, Caleb Williams tended to drop his eyes when he felt pressure. He was so concerned with evading rushers that he'd miss open receivers downfield. But that is not the case lately. When the rush starts to get home, he isn't extending to abandon structure, he's extending to remain within structure, which not only results in explosive plays, but also reduces his sack rate. Take a look at this play from early in the third quarter. It's 3rd and 7, and Johnson dials up a 3-level flood concept to the bunch side of the formation. Green Bay sends a 2-deep fire zone blitz that overloads the left side of the offensive line. As Williams reaches the depth of his dropback, Rashawn Gary starts to get home off the edge. But Williams steps up to buy time and drops one in the bucket to Loveland while moving forward. This is a very difficult throw from a moving platform that Caleb made look easy, because that's how talented he is. He's not the most accurate passer, but nobody can put more zip on the ball from an imperfect platform. There was a play from the first quarter where Johnson called a levels concept on 3rd and 12. The defense responded with a soft quarters coverage, so the high read was not an option. Instead of forcing it downfield, Caleb fired a missile to DJ Moore underneath the shell coverage, and Moore reached first down yardage after the catch. This conversion would not have been possible without the velocity and placement of this ball. Caleb put so much zip on this throw without stepping into it. There was no arc on the trajectory of the ball, an absolute frozen rope to send his receiver across the line to gain. The accuracy issues still show up here and there, but you live with that when his decision-making and high-leverage play are as good as they were on Saturday night. Even the interceptions weren't necessarily bad decisions. Both came on 4th down, so the offense had nothing to lose. On the first, Luther Burden clearly ran the wrong route, and on the second, DJ Moore, the primary read, slipped. Considering the stage and the situations he was put in, this was the best game I've seen Caleb play. The roster is probably still a year or two away from Super Bowl quality, but ceilings are raised when your play caller and quarterback are performing at this level. Thank you guys so much for watching this week's video. If you enjoyed, please subscribe so that you don't miss all of the playoff coverage to come. But that's all I've got for today. So until next time, take care.